time is now, the time is here. Now's the time for a bite of cheer. A tasty light where the price is right. Well, look here, you'll dig this sight. The moment's handy for a piece of candy. Just name your brand, they're all so grand. Hey, what do you think of a nice cool drink? Or a big box filled with a popcorn thrill? Let your taste buds meet with an ice cream treat. Refresh yourselves, it's time to eat. So come on, folks, let's join the band as we all head for the refreshment stand.
Hello and welcome to the Concession stand. I'm Wokey and I'm here with Zenrot.
Hey guys.
We have a name now.
Yeah, we finally have a name. How about that?
It took an entire episode and us going through a great list of just names that we both suggested. Well, mainly one name I tried to get over really hard.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a segment with that name later.
I still think it's pretty good. But yeah, we're back, which is funny because we still have not also released the first one. But that's okay, because you don't need to know that. I just said it. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to be.
Well, now they know that.
Well, now they know that. I'm trying to be 100% transparent. That's the way I like to host.
That's
100% fair. All honesty. All right, so today we're going to be dealing with the second part of Pirates. We're going to be dealing with Pirates 4 and Pirates 5. I'll be handling Pirates 4 because I actually recently watched it, and Zen will be handling Pirates 5. So let me do a quick run through of what the basic thing of Pirates 4 is, and then we'll give our thoughts on it. All right, Pirates 4 starts up, basically kind of a time skip from the last one. Gibbs is being killed because they think he's Jack. Turns out he's not. Jack dresses up as like a white guy judge, and he gets him off, but then they get betrayed, and they meet King George II in a really weird cameo. And now they learn they have to go to the Fountain of Youth before the Spanish. Barbossa is also there, and he has like one leg now, and he's like all prim and proper. He looks like nothing like a pirate. And also that's when you learn he's lost the pearl. Jack says fuck all that, and he escapes. He meets his dad. His dad tells him there's an imposter of him out there. Turns out it's a girl who's dressed up just like him and 100% looks just like him, called Angelica. She's the daughter of Blackbeard, and she wants to get a crew up to go get the Fountain of Youth. She ends up kidnapping Jack in some way, and then later on Gibbs joins Barbossa's crew by like burning a map and then saying he can find it just by pure memory, because apparently Gibbs is just really good. Jack tries to do a mutiny on the Queen Anne's Revenge, and then that's when you meet Blackbeard. Blackbeard is revealed to be a voodoo master who can control ships. And he wants the Fountain of Youth so he doesn't get killed by a one-legged man. And the only one-legged man we've ever met is Barbossa, who was introduced in the first scene. That's the basics of it. And Jack is basically on Angelica's side now because Angelica's like, I can give you back the Black Pearl, which he thought was lost. And then she shows him like a tiny Black Pearl that has a tiny monkey Jack inside of it. And then finally, so they get onto the island, but before all that, I forget, there's a priest on the ship, and they capture a mermaid, because mermaids are important, too, because you need their tears for something. Anyway, they end up on the island, and on the island, Jack gets separated to go look for the cups, because you need cups to use the Fountain of Youth, because it's a very intricate process. Finds Barbossa. Barbossa tells him that Blackbeard basically killed all the crew on the Black Pearl, and he was the only survivor because he chopped off his leg. And also for all this, there's a very unimportant priest and mermaid subplot about love. And the mermaid is like this is important because later on, to get the mermaid to cry, they pretend to kill the boy. And then the boy wakes up, and then the mermaid cries of joy because apparently it's easier to get joy tears instead of cry tears. It's real weird. Anyway, they finally make it to the fountain. And at this point, Jack and Barbossa are teaming up. Barbossa and Blackbeard start fighting, and then the Spanish come out of nowhere and say, by the way, fuck this, and destroy the chalices, and they throw it into, like, the ocean, and then Barbossa stabs Blackbeard, and then while trying to save Blackbeard, Angelica takes out the sword out of Blackbeard's chest, and because it was poisoned, because Barbossa was just like, I'm pretty sure I need to poison the sword, not only just ram it through him, and then Angelica gets poisoned, so now she's dying too. And at this point, the priest boy goes back to the mermaid who they left for dead. He saves the mermaid. The mermaid then saves the chalices and gives them to Jack and say, hey, use it because I guess you have me tears or whatever. And then she takes the priest boy and I guess drowns him because they go into the bottom of the water. finally, the final scene is Angelica and Blackbeard, and Jack is trying to get. He basically Princess Brides the situation, and Angelica ends up living, and Blackbeard is dead and gone. And then Barbossa steals Blackbeard's sword, and he gets control of the Queen Anne's Revenge, and he gets into his proper pirate gear. And then Jack, for some reason, leaves Angelica on an island. And then Jack has a tiny black pearl and a bunch of other ships. And the movie ends with a post-credit scene of a voodoo doll of Jack. And Angelica takes it, smiles, and then this is never brought up again. That is Pirates 4.
Yeah. I fucking hate this movie. So much.
There's a lot of problems with Pirates 4. One thing, it's overtly complicated for no reason.
So the ritual to use the fountain, by the way, so the only person that's ever been to the Fountain of Youth is Ponce de Leon.
Yeah.
The only person to ever be there. And the ritual to use the fountain is you need water from the fountain, a mermaid's tear, and the silver chalices of Ponce de Leon. So how the fuck did he know that?
Yeah.
He's the only one that's ever been there. And apparently it's really convenient that one of the keys to the fountain was chalices he already had.
Also, he would have to have somehow known that the mermaid's tear would somehow play a key part into this. When really, like, the movie goes out of their way to say, by the way, these mermaids are cold stone killers. They don't cry for nothing. So how the hell did he get a tear? How does anyone...
Did he go there and drink it? And he's like, fuck, this isn't right. Let's try mermaid tears.
Yeah, it's also overtly complicated in that two people need to drink from it. Like, it's not just one person drinks it and then they're immortal. One person has to take one cup, drink it, and then the other person in the other cup drinks it, and they die, and then their life gets transferred into theirs.
Yeah, whoever drank the tear gets the life from the person who drank the cup without the tear.
Yeah, and
which is also fucking just... So, and then that's not even how you get there, because you have to make it all the way across this island, and apparently only Jack's compass can find it, because they need him to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to go into this one specific cave, and then you have to say, like, the password that's on the chalices. And then it sucks you into the roof. It's the most over-the-top, ridiculous, like... First of all, you know those old games like Nightshade or like King's Quest?
Yes. So, like, really
this
old
is exactly
games.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is 100%
Where, like,
that.
I'm guessing Ponce de Leon, like, opened his inventory and he tried every item that he owned with all the other ones, and it just so happened that Silver Chalice and Mermaid Tear combined to make Drink for Fountain of Youth, I guess?
Yeah, that is the only way that they were able to find that out. And really, here's another weird that's also complicated, is that it's so intricately complicated, and then the map for the Fountain of Youth, remember, is the same map from Pirates 3. Right. So that would mean that at some point, did he use this map? Is, like, there's, like, a lot of things that are, like, because it's so complicated, the more you think about it, the more you realize, like, everything just feels kind of half-thought, half-baked.
Oh, completely half-assed.
Yeah.
Like, also, this movie has my favorite line of all time, is when Jack is fighting Pretend and Jack, who is actually Angelica.
Yeah.
And she twirls around and points her sword at him, and he is fucking shocked, and he goes, only one person in the whole world knows that move. All she did was spin in a circle and then pointed at him.
He's never seen that move before.
No one else knows how to do that, apparently, even though Jack knows the move well enough to realize that she's the only one that can do it. And he's so sure that it's her, he grabs this person that he thinks is a man pretending to be him and just starts making out with said person. And he's right, of course, because of course he is. But yeah. What a gamble.
Yeah, that would have been real unfortunate if it had actually revealed to be, like, another dude, in which case...
It's just Gibbs or something.
It's actually been Gibbs the entire time. Based on this movie, Gibbs has, like, fucking magic powers, apparently, that I never knew.
Oh, Gibbs is a huge plot device in this movie, because first of all, he somehow managed to memorize the map to the Fountain of Youth in, like, 3 hours.
Yes. And also, he was dastardly enough that people were like, yeah, I could believe that's Captain Jack Sparrow.
Right. And also remember, he's guiding Barbossa to the fountain off his memory, I guess.
Yeah.
And then he points to saying, like, you can tell I'm going the right way because you can see that the Spanish are also going the right way. This is another one of the lines in this movie that doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's such an insignificant line, you don't realize it until you actually look at it. Barbossa pulls a fucking telescope out, and he looks at the Spanish ship to watch them sail by. And he can see the Spanish captain. And he puts the telescope away, and then Gibbs says he never even turned his head. But Barbossa needed a fucking telescope to see him. So how did Gibbs know that he didn't turn his head?
Gibbs got, like, magic eagle eye or something.
Yeah, Gibbs is great in this movie. He's a fucking hero.
He's really overpowered, especially since, like, all the other ones basically are gone. So they had to give him all the power. Like, Gibbs, it basically inhaled the power of every single Black Pearl member into one.
Yeah, also, so why does Blackbeard need a crew if he has ship-controlling voodoo magic that can make the ship go?
So there's a lot of problems with Blackbeard. One, so apparently his sword is magic, and that's what lets him control the Queen Anne's revenge, which I did not know until I looked up Wikipedia and they said his sword is magic, and I was like, I thought that he was using voodoo power to control the ship, so that doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
also,
it's like the gem in the hilt of his sword or some shit they never explain to you.
They never explain it, but also he doesn't really need a crew because he has fucking voodoo magic.
Yeah, he has like zombie crewmen.
He does have zombie crewmen.
And I guess he's getting these guys as like sacrifices for the mermaids, and I guess he needs someone to steal the life from for the fountain.
I guess, but I wanted what was... Here's the weird thing, and this is something that I think really shows the difference between where they lost the thread. So compared back to Pirates 1, yeah, Barbossa was like a skelly man, but also they didn't say like, oh, he was versed in Aztec magic. They didn't go that far. They didn't like try and insult me by saying, by the way, this English guy totally mastered the arts of the Aztec ways. Like, nothing they show about Blackbeard makes me go like, okay, yeah, that guy's connected to the Loa. He knows what's up.
Yeah. Mind you, the only other character in the entire series to practice voodoo is fucking Tia Dalma from 2 and 3, who is Calypso.
And she also has the excuse of just being a goddess.
Yes. But then Blackbeard also, for some reason, knows voodoo. And I think they implied that he brought himself back to life once?
Maybe. There's a lot of stuff like...
Jack mentions that he got his head cut off and swam back to his ship without his head and then put his head back on.
I think the reason is I think this is a very weird way of doing it. I think because there was a prophecy about Blackbeard has to be killed by a man with one leg, that any other attempts would just fail.
So let's talk about that prophecy for a second. First of all, Blackbeard pretty much, he's going to the fountain because he accepts that the one-legged man is going to kill him. And he needs the fountain to stop that from happening. But as we learn from the Fountain of Youth, it doesn't, like, make you immortal. So was he just going to sit at the fountain and wait for the one-legged man to show up?
That's also a hell of a life, just constantly being afraid of a one-legged man.
Yeah, because... So... Drinking the water from the fountain doesn't just give you all the years they have left, it gives you their full lifespan.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, I guess, like 80 to 100 years, around there. But drinking it early wouldn't actually do anything, because he would still die from the wound.
Yeah.
So...
A lot of the magic stuff just doesn't make sense. I guess you'd have to assume that the Fountain of Youth just completely also heals you.
Well, it does, because it heals Angelica, who's dying of poison, later.
Yeah.
But if he drank from the fountain first, and then got stabbed, he would still die.
So he would need to wait to the moment he was about to die.
Right. What happened at the end, when Jack switches the chalices on them, is literally the only situation the fountain, as they present it, would have actually solved his problems.
God, yeah,
That's the only way.
There's a lot of logic problems in this movie.
I know. And then, so he's fighting Barbossa, and he's winning, and he knocks Barbossa down, and he's like, alright, I'm gonna kill you now. But then, like, see, that presents the issue of, let's say that he did kill Barbossa right there. Well, that meant that the premonition the guy had was wrong.
Yeah.
So, at what point, why did he keep fighting? He knew he was gonna lose. He had no choice but to lose.
And the way he loses is also real weird because I think right before he's about to kill him, that's when the Spanish come in, right?
Right. Barbossa's like, look behind you, Edward Teach, and it's like the fucking Spaniards are all here.
I will say it's a real funny move on Barbossa to go, hey, look over there. And then the second his back is turned, he stabs him.
Yeah, well, he doesn't even stab. He cuts him on the hand with his, frog sword. He's poisoning his sword with poison tree frogs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do reveal that.
Yeah, and he cuts his hand with the poison sword, and the poison, weakens Blackbeard, and then Blackbeard turns around and he stabs him. And so then the Spanish start destroying the Fountain of Youth and shit, and that mermaid shows up for some reason, because she was like, hey, I'm in a romantic subplot in this movie, and I noticed that your romantic subplot was in trouble, so I brought you this chalice. Yeah. Basically,
that is the only reason, she shows up again, is because, I don't know, that entire, all the mermaid shit just made me go, I cannot believe that they're wasting my time with this.
Yeah, Jack did nothing for her. She had no reason to care about him in any way.
To care about any of those pirates, because again, all those pirates just kind of left her for dead.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Angelica was, kind of nice to her, but how could she have known that Angelica needed it? She was on the water the whole time. She only comes out of the water to give the chalices to Jack.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess maybe she was just trying to do a solid to Jack, here, I don't know, take them.
I know you're the lead and your love interest is about to die, so here's the chalices.
Here you go. Here's another thing that's weird. Let's talk about also just Angelica's role in all this, because this is what bothered me the entire time watching the movie, is that Jack is like, Angelica, one of the stone, ice queen. She's like me. And then every time they show her, they go there might as well be a fucking halo around her. She doesn't do anything bad in this movie.
Yeah, she is extremely loyal to Blackbeard, to the point of, she's willing to die for him for some reason.
Yeah, because it's because she's that's her dad, but at the same time, it's you got a shitty dad.
Yeah, well, she mentions that she went through most of her life not knowing her father. Yeah. Because Jack and her met when she was, trying to become a nun, and she was an orphan. And then she finally met her dad, and she's like, you have to get me to the fountain because I won't let my dad die. I want to know my dad. But then, you dying for him does not in any way solve your problem.
No.
At all.
Especially when, throughout the movie, her dad constantly is the biggest dick imaginable. No
Doesn't
redeeming
he almost shoot her?
Yes, he does. And then she tries to say, oh, haha, you must knew when the bullet was going to go off. And then he goes, yeah, I totally did.
That's right. He's threatening Jack, and he gets 6 pistols in an old school Russian roulette. And he says, remove all of the bullets from remove the bullets from all of the guns but 2, but don't tell me which ones you take it out of. And then he tells Jack to pick a gun, and he goes to shoot her, and it's empty. And then Jack assumes he's bluffing and says, oh, they're all empty. And he shoots one off, and it's totally not empty.
Yep, basically. And then her daughter herself, she's just this is a waste of time. The thing that you want Jack to do, I'll just do it myself. And she's right. She's 100% right. It was an entire waste of time. There was no reason behind it.
The funniest thing, too, is, I don't know if you watch the Cinema Sins channel, but they did this movie. And they were talking about that Russian roulette scene and how it literally is the worst scene in the movie. Right before this, Blackbeard goes, Jack, I'm running out of time. I need you to get me the chalices right now. And then Jack's like, I don't want to jump. So instead of, just making him, he stalls the fucking proceedings by, another 15 minutes to do this elaborate Russian roulette shit, even though he literally just said he's out of time. He's gonna die soon.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And he's just kind of... So... The man, so I was watching it recently, and this is the one thing, every time Blackbeard showed up, this is the one thing I kept thinking. Holy shit, that's Mr. Wednesday from American Gods. I really wish I was watching American Gods right now.
Yeah, that movie is it's a fucking chore, because they want they don't have Will and Elizabeth anymore.
No.
So they wrote in the priest and the mermaid, which is the worst thing that's ever happened, because they are the most unlikable people.
Yeah, and the mermaids are also just kind of unlikable as well. They try to make you feel bad for them at one point, I think, and then it's there's really no reason.
oh yeah, they're like, because they have like the skeletons of the dead mermaids.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, they're terrible monsters. So
Aren't these the motherfuckers that just like killed 50 people like 2 minutes
they
ago?
capsized Barbossa's entire ship and killed them all. It's kind of like trying to make you feel bad for like the abominable snowman. Like I don't.
Like trying to make you feel bad about the abominable snowman, but after showing you him killing him like 30 people.
Yeah, like he mauls an entire crew of hikers, and then the movie wants you to like feel bad for him.
Exactly. That's like if Harry and the Hendersons showed like a grisly murder scene before the movie, and then tried to make you care about this character. It's like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not working for me.
It's just not.
And they keep forcing them on you. Like, there's so many scenes where they're, like, talking, and I don't even know either of their names, by the way. I know they have them.
Yeah, I think I saw their names, and I decided to just put down Priest, Boy, and Mermaid, because that's what they are.
Because that's what they are. That's their entire character. And the priest is like, I'm aggressively in love with this mermaid for some reason, because they've never spoken.
Yeah.
She's just hot.
She's just really good looking. And,
yeah. And then she's like, I saved you from the other mermaids because I knew that you were different. But it's like, what the fuck? How do you know that? Because he apparently wasn't, because he stabbed you with a sword.
Yeah, very little sense.
Yeah, pretty much everything in that movie pisses me off, I think.
Almost. I will say I think there was a way to make that movie good, and the way to make it good was I feel like if they had just actually focused on Barbossa, because Barbossa at one point tells you when he reveals like what happened on the Black Flag and why he has one leg, it's actually pretty interesting because he goes into like detail of like we were fucked, and then I was tied up by the one leg, and I had to do the only thing I could do, and then I had to watch my entire crew go, and if with the context of oh, that crew I left with at the end of 3, they're all dead, and I watched them die, and then I cut my leg off. And this is why I'm in such, like, this is why I'm no longer a pirate, this is why I'm with the British Empire, and now I don't even care, I don't give a shit about this, like, magic fountain, I just want to kill him. And right. I think that's way more interesting than, like, the story of Jack is with this girl who wants to save her dad, and also some mermaids and shit.
Yeah, and that, like, Jack fucked a long time ago.
Yes.
And that's their only connection to one another.
and
like, and they don't bring up the Barbossa thing until like halfway through the movie.
Yeah, like way too late.
Also, why didn't you just cut the rope?
I don't know why. That's a very good question. I think it's like voodoo rope. So
is it because they wanted him to have a fucking peg leg for the movie?
Yeah, I guess.
Is that why?
I'm going to say that's the only reason why. Here's a very good thing that you bring up. Yeah, it's not like, it's magical, but also it's made out of destroyable material.
Yeah, it's a fucking rope.
Yeah, it's rope.
So cut it with your fucking sword you're holding that you said you're holding.
There's an entire game based around cutting the rope. Just cut the rope.
It's very confusing.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like you could have salvaged this movie if you just had Jack go with Barbossa and Gibbs from the beginning.
Yes.
Cut Angelica completely out of the fucking movie if you have to.
Yeah.
And just have them racing Blackbeard and the Spanish to the fountain. And have Blackbeard be just like a cunt in and out of scenes sometimes.
Yeah, just be the biggest evilest dick. Here's another thing that also kind of bothered me, and this is funny because I know this exists, I've just never seen the inverse of this, where the father is very much like, yes, hello, I am Blackbeard, and then you go to the daughter and she's like, yes, Blackbeard, my father, and she has the heaviest accent when her father has none.
So her father appears to be, like, English.
Very English. So this is probably a positive for me because every time she talks, she reminded me of my father. And their inverse relationship of talking to each other is similar to when me and my dad talk to each other, where one speaks in pretty good English and then the other one tries their hardest, even though they're fighting against their accent.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming that because she didn't know him, that she grew up in maybe Spain? She said she was in a Spanish convent.
So why did he leave her in Spain? That seems like bad planning. Like, hey, let me leave my clearly not... You can't leave your kid in Spain and they come out Spanish. That's not how that works.
Well, I'm assuming the mother had to have been Spanish, obviously. Because it's fucking Penelope Cruz is the actress that plays the character.
Penelope Cruz, who I really do like Penelope Cruz, not to make fun of her accent. I think it's a beautiful thing. Love her and everything. But in this movie, it did create like a... This doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's a very thick accent. And, like, you can have whatever accent you want.
It's true.
But then Blackbeard is out here talking like he's like a gruff American.
Yes, hello. Magic
Fountain, Jack. And it's like... He doesn't even sound British. I mean, I guess Jack doesn't sound exceptionally British either.
Do you believe in God, Jack?
Yeah, it's like that. Like, he sounds like a fucking, like... He doesn't sound... Because, you know, they make the unintelligent pirates sound almost borderline like, Fuck, I forgot the word. What's the word for, like, the uneducated English accent from a long time ago? Cockney?
Cockney?
Yeah. They sound almost like that. That's, like, what the stupid pirates sound like.
Yeah.
And then Barbossa and, like, the smarter pirates are British. And Blackbeard is just, like, from New York.
It's because the actor playing him didn't put on an accent. He just did his voice. And that's why it's super obvious.
It's just really weird. It's all very weird.
Yeah, Pirates 4 feels like they tried to get back to something like Pirates 1, where it was a self-contained story. But it just kind of fails, like, in everything. It's like, imagine if that whole blood ritual at the end of 1 had so many extra steps that were unnecessary.
Yeah, so many fucking rules. Like, instead of put blood on coin, put coin back in chest, it's like, get 6 milligrams of blood, mix it with 3 milligrams of sulfur and carbon dioxide, stir it, tip it, drip 3 drips on the coin, and then flip it, and then if it lands in the chest heads up, the curse is broken.
And then you have to guess heads or tails. So at the last moment, when Turner is telling it, he goes, heads! And then, like, they show a super slow motion of it going for heads.
That's exactly what it's like. This movie has so many rules for shit that we don't care about. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter, because we already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is, like, we know Jack's not going to die. And we know that Blackbeard is a massive piece of shit, so unless they're spawning a whole trilogy out of this movie, which, thank Christ, they did not... Blackbeard's gonna die. Like, we already know. We know Barbossa's not gonna die.
Yeah, we know that for sure. For at least, for this movie, we know he's not gonna die.
Right.
And also, it's really weird to just notice that at the end, Angelica gets a voodoo doll, and then it's never brought up again.
Well, nothing from this movie's ever brought up again.
No, the only thing that kind of exists is that magic sword and that the pearl is in a bottle.
Right, and Barbossa keeps the sword in the next movie, and he keeps the ship.
Yes, that is...
And that's it.
Here's the other thing, is that another thing I like is at the end when Barbossa's like, I'm a fucking pirate now, he puts back on his original gear. Mm-hmm. And then going into the next pirate movie, he fucking discards it.
Yeah, he's not wearing his old gear anymore.
It made me angry because I like the OG look of Barbossa. I like that pirate
also,
look.
How did they have Barbossa's original hat in the keep of the Queen Anne's Revenge?
I think they say that Blackbeard likes to keep trinkets. So he probably, after taking the pearl, took his hat, which is the ultimate disrespect.
That's true. Hats are a big deal in this movie.
Yeah, pirates is like your dick size. The second you lose your hat, you lose your dick.
Okay, fair enough. So that's Pirates 4. It's my least favorite one. I don't know where you rank it. For me, it's at the bottom.
I think it's probably at the bottom just because, like, there's so many problematic things about it. But it's not in a way that's like Pirates 3 where I'm like, I cannot believe they fucking hung this child. It's just kind of like, this is kind of boring. I don't like anything about this. Where at least Pirates 3, the things I complain about are funny.
Yeah, in Pirates 3, like, when you're looking at the screen going, Jesus fucking Christ, what's happening? It's also exciting. Like, when they're doing that dumbass ritual to release Calypso, at least you're like, oh my god, they're gonna have a war after this.
And then there's a big fight at the end.
Yeah.
There's nothing that... When Blackbeard gets stabbed, I go, is that it?
I guess the movie's over.
They could have rolled credits, because that could have been like, oh, I guess the movie's over now.
Or like Angelica is teaching Jack the ritual of the fountain, and you're like, okay, that's a shit ton of rules, and I guess they're just gonna look for it now.
Yeah, it's...
And that's what they do.
It's a very boring experience. The entire time watching Pirates 4, all I could think of is Pirates 3.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I don't even think Pirates 3 is that great.
It's not. Well, that's the reason why I was still thinking about Pirates 3 and trying to wrap my head around Pirates 3. And watching Pirates 4, I was just like, oh, okay. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, so that movie sucks.
It does.
I like pretty much all of these movies. I'll even watch 4. Like, it's not so bad where I'm, like, turning my nose up at it like a douche. But, like, I'll watch it if it's on. Like, I watched it the other day. It was on TV. It's fine. But objectively, it's not good in any way.
Yeah, if it's on USA Network for some reason, I'm watching USA Network. I'll watch it. But
yeah, it was on, like, FX the other day. I was scrolling through, and I was like, alright, I'll fucking watch it.
Yeah.
Tides, whatever.
Yeah. That's
So-
definitely a channel that would have it.
Yeah. So now let's jump over to 5.
Which we'll
I'm
say
guessing-
now is we'll do a spoiler alert, right?
Yeah, we'll put a spoiler alert. Either we'll timestamp it and we'll give you like a link, or we'll just put it up on the video, like skip to this stamp if you want to dodge spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a huge time skip here, I'm guessing. Because the movie
Yeah.
opens up with Will's son as a relatively little kid, and he fucking drowns himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he ties a sack of rocks to his feet and he fucking drowns himself so that he can get onto the Flying Dutchman and see his dad because he wants to break his father's curse by using the Trident of Poseidon, which is another just fucking ocean gimmick that these movies always have. So he gets onto the Dutchman, and the only one on the Dutchman is his dad because they didn't have a whole lot of time to get the Dutchman ready, I guess. I don't know. And he tells him to forget about it, don't try to save me, blah, blah, blah. And then we cut to a long time in the future where he looks like, I don't know, maybe anywhere from like 18 to 20 in that range.
I'll say he's around 18,
He's somewhere in that area. He's
Based-
pretty much an adult.
based on the way he acts.
Right. And then, so he is on a ship with the British, and he's telling them we're about to sail into the Devil's Triangle, which is another, generic supernatural shit. You can't sail in there, it's cursed. And the British are, because they're always pompous cunts, they're like, hey, fuck you, boy. We're sailing in there. And then, fuck me, I forgot. Oh, Salazar is the bad guy's last. His, like, ghost crew slaughters them all. And then the kid sees them all walking, and he's like, hey, this wanted poster has Jack Sparrow on it, and I want to kill him. Tell Jack Sparrow I want to kill him. And then they leave him. And I have no idea, and they completely gloss over how he gets out of the Devil's Triangle on a giant wrecked ship all by himself. But he does somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they say he was floating on driftwood,
Yeah.
and they found him.
That was the way he was able to get there.
Right. So, we go to this town, that's opening a bank or something. It's like the most secure bank in the whole world, no one will ever rob it, and then Jack is robbing it, because he's, like, that good, I guess. But then they have this really long, elaborate scene where 12 horses are drawing a safe that they say on camera. They say it weighs 1 ton. Plus, they're dragging the rest of the building, and it's like 12 horses that are also carrying Gibbs and the midget pirate.
Yes, who we learned survived.
Yeah, and so did, oh no, Scrum is from the 4th movie, I apologize.
Yes, he is.
My generic background pirate lore is getting befuddled here. But so they drag this bank thing, the safe, all the way out to the sea, but it was open the whole time, and so all the money fell out. And so they got no money, and Jack's crew was like, Jack, you fucking suck at being a pirate, and we're not going to be your crew anymore. And so he's like down on his luck, and he looks all washed up, and he trades his compass for a bottle of rum, and that releases Salazar from the Devil's Triangle for reasons that we'll talk about later because they don't make any sense really.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're back in the town. Jack's arrested for being a pirate. Will's son infiltrates the jail to find him. He meets this random girl who is going to be executed for being a witch because she just knows stuff.
She's a scientist, so she's a woman who's kind of smart, so therefore she must
Yeah,
die.
she's an educated woman, and therefore she must be a witch because it's impossible to be smart and a girl.
It's true. Back then it
Yeah.
was true.
Mm-hmm. And so he breaks her out as well because she says that she knows how to get to the Trident of Poseidon because of this book that her dad gave her a long time ago that has a ruby on the cover for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So he breaks them out and he pays Jack's crew to rescue Jack. And then they get on Jack's shitty little boat and they let it go and they start sailing. And then Barbossa finally shows up and he's like dressed like the king from the last movie now.
Yeah, he's like
I guess
decadent.
yeah, he's super rich and he's got like all this shit. Because I guess the Queen Anne's Revenge was just that badass that now he like has a whole fleet of pirate ships and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks an actual witch that's really a witch for some reason in this movie.
And not prosecuted.
Yeah, that no one gives a shit about. And well, actually, that she works with the British later, and they don't seem to care. So it's very confusing. She says that I have Jack's compass, and Jack betrayed the compass, which is a thing that you can do, I guess. Because the compass points you toward whatever you want most, but apparently if you betray it, which is by, like, giving it away, it releases your worst fear. And apparently Jack's worst fear is the ghost of Salazar. I don't know, but that's apparently what it is. So Salazar's killing all of Barbossa's ships, and Barbossa agrees to help Salazar find Jack in exchange for him stopping killing all of his guys. Because Barbossa has the compass. So they finally find him, and they are on this little rowboat, and Salazar throws fucking ghost sharks into the water. And Jack hooks a ghost shark with an anchor, and he uses it like a motorboat.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, so they throw the ghost sharks in the water, and Jack and Henry, which is Will's son, are fighting the ghost sharks with, like, the oars and shit. And then all of Salazar's crew jumps down and starts running at the boat, way faster than the boat's going. So why did you even bother with the ghost sharks? But anyway, they get to the island, and then Karina, who is the girl, who has been the whole time staunchly like, oh, supernatural shit isn't real.
Which everyone laughs every single time.
Right.
Because she doesn't know she's in a Pirates movie yet.
Yeah, she hasn't figured that out. So she says supernatural shit's not real, and then she sees the ghosts, and she freaks out, and she sprints into the woods. And then Jack and Henry go after them because the ghost pirates can't step on land, so because they're not on the water anymore, they can't be chased. And then they have the worst scene in the movie where Jack gets caught by, like, some kind of redneck cannibal.
Yeah, that's accurate. Rednecks on the sea.
Who wants to make him marry his gross sister or something. And then Barbossa shows up to shoot them all, and that's how they choose to introduce Barbossa. And then Barbossa frees the Black Pearl, they're all back on the Black Pearl, and they're going to find the Trident so they can get rid of Salazar using the Trident. And then we find out on the ship, on the way to do that, that this random astronomer girl is Barbossa's daughter. Which, I don't know, that's just what happens. He's Barbossa's daughter, and Barbossa is very cut up about it because he left her intentionally because he didn't want her to grow up the daughter of a pirate.
Yeah.
So they're sailing to this island, and they needed the Black Pearl to do it because the Black Pearl is still the fastest ship ever. Which I don't understand. I don't really know what the difference in boat speed is, but the Black Pearl, it's a big deal that it's the only ship that can outspeed the Flying Dutchman and Salazar's ship now.
Yeah,
so they're
it's kind
sailing
of
for
crazy.
the island. Yeah, it's weird. They're sailing for the island, they get there in the middle of a fight with Salazar's crew, and they're all trying to stop themselves from dying until they can make land before all the ghost pirates die. And the Pearl reaches the island, and Salazar has to jump back to his ship so it doesn't explode, but he kidnaps Will's kid, and he possesses him, which is a thing they can apparently do. And they bring up the rules, where if you possess someone, it's permanent unless you have Trident.
Yeah, in which case it's just kind of you're just living in that body for a bit.
Yeah. So they get to the island. Karina uses all of her magic, like, astronomy skills, and she opens up the gateway to the Trident, which is like Moses parting the Red Sea. And they get to the Trident, but Henry, possessed by Salazar, gets there and starts fighting Jack. And then he attacks Jack, and he's beating the shit out of him with the Trident because he gets it first. And then Jack and Henry break the Trident, and it returns all of the ghost pirates to human form for some reason.
Yeah, while they're, like, in the ocean, and then they quickly realize, oh shit, I'm human, I have to get out of this water.
Yeah, they're, like, choking, and then they bust out into the trench. And then Barbossa comes back. The Black Pearl is sailing right on the edge of the trench. And he is on the anchor of the Black Pearl, so that Jack, Karina, and Henry can climb up the anchor with him and get back to the Pearl before the thing closes. Because the trench that they're on now that the Trident is broken is starting to close. But then Salazar, who is human again, decides, I don't even give a shit about being alive again, I just really want to kill Jack. So he runs after Jack, and he jumps on the anchor, and he's chasing him, and Karina falls for a minute, and Barbossa catches her, and she sees the tattoo on his arm that's the same as her book. And that's how she knows it's her dad.
Mm.
And then so they're on the anchor, and Salazar is about to catch up to her. So Jack kicks Henry's sword off of his belt, and Barbossa grabs it, jumps off the anchor, and stabs Salazar in the back with it. so that he falls off the anchor too and can't get to Karina. And then as the trench closes, Barbossa fucking dies.
For the second time.
Second time now, yeah. Barbossa dies here. And then the trench fully closes, but they pull the anchor up, and it turns out Henry, Karina, and Jack are fine. And then we also find out that by breaking the trident, he freed Will from the Flying Dutchman. And Will's allowed to go back to his family. And then we have the end credit scene where, well, I guess right before the end credit scene, we have Jack finally back on the Black Pearl. He's no longer washed up, he's got all of his captain gear on, and he's sailing the Pearl into the sunset. And then we have the after credit scene where Will and Elizabeth are asleep, and then Davy Jones walks in. Crabman. Squidman.
Yeah, Squidward.
And then, yeah, Squidward. And then lightning flashes, and Will wakes up, and he thinks, oh, it was just a nightmare about Davy Jones for some reason. But then the camera pans down, and there's a puddle and some barnacles on the ground. So it was not a nightmare. Davy Jones is back, and I assume that is the sequel book.
Well, we'll see if they even acknowledge it. Because
that's true.
4 did not acknowledge their shit, so I don't see why 5
true.
has to.
So 5 it's better than 4.
Yes.
I would even wager that it's a little bit better than 3. I don't know. It's around the same as 3 for me.
For me, I enjoyed it more than 3. Just because it had maybe because there was more action throughout it. Like 3 felt like there was mainly action all the way at the end, where throughout the end of 5, it felt like there was a good crazy action throughout it. Like it opened up with a crazy, what was basically just like medieval time version of the Fast and Furious heist, the bank heist.
Yep.
Where they took out the Rio de Janeiro heist, but just done with horses. So I appreciated that. And just throughout it, they felt like they had some more action. So I like it more for that, very much for that reason.
Yeah, it was fun. There was a lot of confusing shit. So Karina doesn't believe in ghosts, right? She thinks that's hogwash. There's no such thing as the supernatural.
Yep.
But she realizes how to find the trident because the ruby on her book fucking shines in the blood moon, and the pathway to the trident is suddenly inscribes itself onto the cover of her book. So I don't know what scientific
that's holograms.
Study what kind of scientific study that magic gemstones are to where ghosts can't be real. But that happened.
That is maybe the weirdest thing, but at the same time, it's like I guess I took it as she just wants to believe in whatever the hell she wants to believe.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know how this works, but it must be science. This is the only scientific way in my mind for this to work. So one of my biggest problems with this movie,
my biggest problem with this movie I'll bring up in a second, but I'll cover what I already started first, is this movie almost feels kind of like it has the Star Wars problem of, everyone is immediately connected to everyone else.
Yeah.
Why did Karina have to be Barbossa's daughter?
There was no real reason for that.
There was no reason for that other than to kill him. And I don't know if Jeffrey Rush didn't want to do the movies anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a real missed opportunity. I would very much like Barbossa back.
Yeah, and I just don't understand what the point is, because the only reason to make her his daughter is so that he can die saving her.
What needed to happen is at the end when he died, he's like, I need to live on in my father's legacy, and then at the end they do another reveal where she's now wearing his old gear. So now it's just a female version of the old Barbossa gear at the end. And so we have another...
I'd be fine with that.
I would totally be fine. I think that would be great for her character if she did that. It'd be more interesting than what they ended up kind of going with. But yeah, it felt like that was kind of the only real reason that they wanted to do that. Maybe they just felt like it was enough with Barbossa, which... With them bringing back Davy Jones, I think that that's a bad direction to go in.
Yes. Because Barbossa is very, very hammy, as a character.
Yeah.
But he's not Davy Jones hammy. And Will and Elizabeth suck. So this is going to be a very interesting few movies later on. With no Barbossa, Davy Jones's ridiculous half-Scottish, half-Squid accent is back.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about my least favorite thing in this whole movie ever.
Go ahead.
So we see young Jack Sparrow get the compass and become the captain of the Wicked Wench, which eventually becomes the Black Pearl, during a fight with Salazar. and he leads Salazar into the Devil's Triangle, and he dies there because he hits a reef and his fucking ship explodes for some reason.
Yeah, it's real funny because he enters the reef and immediately explodes.
He like hits a rock and the whole fucking ship explodes. There's a lot of ship explosions in this movie.
It's like with Jaws, when they shoot Jaws with the harpoon gun and he explodes upon impact.
Right, it was really weird. But so Salazar's telling the story of what happened. I think he's telling Barbossa. And he says that he sees Jack for the first time on the mast of the ship looking like a bird. And so he starts calling him Jack the Sparrow. So that's where Jack Sparrow comes from. What kind of stupid fucking backstory for his name is that?
But also kind of like, who also... Like, Salazar very makes it seem like, that was me, trademark
Yeah,
Salazar.
He says that he pretty much coined the name. But who would have possibly known that? Because he dies 20 seconds later.
The only thing, I wish there was like a missing scene where he just goes like, yes, Jack the Sparrow. But then everyone laughs, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, like he yells it at the other boat in anger. And Jack's like, ooh, I'm keeping that. And then he dies.
No, it'd even be better if Jack was up in the mast. He goes like, ooh, that's a bad name. Then all the pirates below go, Captain Jack Sparrow. And he goes, God damn it.
Shit, I guess I'm stuck with that. But so yeah, he looks like a little bird up there, so we called him Jack the Sparrow, and then he fucking explodes. So, and then not only does he explode, but he can't leave the Devil's Triangle after he comes back to life. So how the fuck does he know that everyone's calling him Jack Sparrow now?
I have no idea, unless like whenever someone came into the Devil's Triangle, he always went like, so tell me, how is Jack doing? Jack Sparrow, maybe? I came up with that name. I don't
have a surname for him, but there's the only Jack.
I don't know why I'm doing the count. But
to be fair, that's pretty close. It's like a Spanish, the count.
He does Javier Bardem does the heaviest accent I've ever seen.
It's very heavy. He pronounces the as like da.
He's basically Count Dracula, like Bela Lugosi style. He's like
it's very thick.
Yeah, he's laying it on real thick.
It's worse than Angelica's in the fourth movie.
Yeah, because Angelica you can perfectly understand. Javier Bardem is like, fuck it, man. This is what we're going with.
Yeah, it was rough. But yeah, so that's a kind of an example with these movies where, like, when you start over-explaining shit and you start taking some of, like, the mysticism out of it, you realize that the explanation is fucking shitty.
Yeah, it's gonna be like if whenever they do that Han Solo movie, they reveal like, and so he was the only one left alive, Han Solo. And you're like, this sucks. Why wouldn't?
Well, see, you know what's gonna happen in that movie is they're gonna show him do the Kessel Run. You know they're gonna show it.
Yeah, and
it's such a minor piece of information that's just there to make you be like, oh, Han's really good at flying. But they're gonna make it like a 35-minute scene in the movie, and they're gonna over-explain shit you don't fucking care about. And that's exactly what this scene did. I never needed to know where the name Jack Sparrow came from.
No,
I just assumed it was some shit that he did.
Yeah, he just really liked birds.
Yeah, or like he did some kind of shit with like a magic bird, and so his name is Jack Sparrow.
Shit with a magic bird.
Yeah, I don't know, but I didn't need to know that he was nicknamed that by a fucking dead Spanish admiral.
Yeah, who by the way, there's almost no way for anyone to have known. Again, that's maybe the biggest stickling point, is that if he trademarked it then, how did anyone else know about the name?
Yeah, it was completely impossible for anyone to have known that was the name.
Like, this is a part where they should have done a joke where they were like, so how did people know to call him Jack Sparrow if he died right afterwards? And then he would look at them and then immediately kill them.
Yeah, or they could have even gone with the fucking sea turtles joke. I don't care.
Yeah, who knows? But
like, just don't over-explain stuff that doesn't matter, because instead of like, ooh, that's, mysterious and vaguely interesting, it just becomes stupid.
Here's another, this movie does a lot of over-explaining, and this is maybe a different spectrum of it, but there's also a deep, heavy explanation where there's a part in the movie where young Will's son, what's his name? Is it William
Henry.
as well? Henry? Henry basically has his face up in the business of Barbossa's daughter. Like, he's holding her and he's very close to her.
Oh, right. He's holding her up because she's getting hung.
Yeah, and then, like, he's, like, dangerously close to just being face first in it. And so their entire joke is, he's real close to it. And then it feels like for 5 minutes, everyone just kind of comes up and it's like, hey, Jack, look at this. And it's like, you're real close to it. And then it's like, hey, Gibbs, check this out. And then Gibbs shows up.
That's actually what happens.
And then Gibbs looks and he goes like, damn, boy, you're real close to it. And
like,
then
she's literally there with the rope still around her neck. And he's holding her up so she doesn't fucking die. And they're all just kind of standing there talking.
They're all kind of standing there just looking at him like, okay, let's see where this goes. It'd be kind of mean that to let the virgin boy get it. Like, this is the closest he's ever been.
And then they make another joke about it later where the ghost sharks are coming. And she's taking off her clothes to swim because she's in like an old Victorian dress.
Yeah.
And Henry keeps asking her to stop because it's not proper, and she jumps in the water. And then he's all giddy because he saw her ankle.
Yeah. This is maybe like Will's son more than Will because Henry is so unabashedly virgin.
Yeah, I also like Henry more than Will.
I've never seen a man so excited just to see some leg. Because it's like...
Yeah, well, he's so naive that it comes off as like, you like it, you know? You're like, you fucker. Like,
yeah,
it's borderline cute, like,
yeah,
because he's so in awe of like everything. He's like, oh, every fucking myth is real, by the by, and they're all super fucking dope. And he's just so happy to be there.
That's the other reason I like him, just because he has such belief into everything. He's like Gibbs, basically, where Gibbs is like, never put a woman on a boat, it's bad luck. He's like, don't spit, because then evil ghost tengus come out of the water and take you.
Yeah, like, it's that kind of shit. But, like, he just looks like he's having a good fucking time.
Yes.
Also, for some reason, he can fight really well.
Yeah, they never explain that, but then again, this series has never been good at explaining why some characters are so good at sword fighting.
Like, I just kind of I would have just accepted if he was good at sword fighting, because that was Will's whole shtick. Mm-hmm. But he never picks up a sword the whole movie, except when he's possessed by Salazar, and he has Salazar's sword. For some reason.
Yeah.
But he just, like, beats the shit out of so many sailors with, like, wrestling moves.
That's another good reason to like him.
He, like, clotheslines them and, like, body slams them and shit.
It's pretty good. If anything, I'll give the movie that. Any movie that has... that's why I main Supergirl, is because she can do a sick power bomb. If your character does wrestling moves, I will like them.
That's fair enough.
Here's another thing that kind of bothered me, but it bothered me a day afterwards where I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So they show that when they break the trident, everyone became human immediately. And all the dudes who were underwater started drowning. So here's the thing. The Flying Dutchman is under the fucking sea.
Right.
How did Will... Like, he doesn't know what his son is doing. He's shown that, like, he doesn't believe that the trident is one real findable. So, like, the second, like, that thing breaks, he's underwater, and he's like, oh, fuck. This is bad.
Well, I assume he's still on the Dutchman at the end, so I assume the ship just surfaces immediately. Because it no longer has magic power.
Maybe, but that ship would have to be in, like, the deepest parts of the water. And for a ship... Like, if anything, that character should have died from the bends... The second
the fucking pressure.
Like, that should have been the thing of Will, where he's like, my son saved me, oh no. Because he didn't tell me beforehand, but...
Because I had no prep.
No, he had no prep.
Let's talk about Will for a minute. Some of the promotional material for this movie is literally, Will Turner is back.
Yeah, Return
of the Will. It's a
Will.
very big deal. He is in the opening sequence with young Henry. Mm-hmm. And he is in the end, at the very end, for like the last 30 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, it's not a lot of Will.
Almost none. Now see, I was kind of under the assumption that the Dutchman was going to save them at the end, when they were in the sea. Like, I saw that they were very far under the water to get the trident, and I was like, oh, well, clearly that's how they're going to bring Will in. Nope. He's fucking nowhere.
It's really weird. And I want to say it's mainly because they did not think that through. And they really should have. Because it kind of leaves you wondering, like, did Will just, like, not care? He should have known where his son was at all times.
Yeah, how did he get... He fucking saved his dumbass son from drowning. But how did he not know that he was getting possessed by ghosts?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
You know what? That might be the reason why he was able to make it ashore. Is because, when your father fucking commands the seas, he can just put you on a driftwood and then take you to the nearest island.
I guess. I don't know. Like, Will just shows up on that island from the end of 3, just normal again. And he's like, how'd you do it? And he was like, oh, I did this thing. And he's like, okay, I gotta kiss your mom. And that's all he's there for.
Excuse me, son. I've got to go.
I gotta go.
You know,
it's been 10 years, boy.
Got a lock, stock, and barrel, but right? Fist bump.
And so, yeah, and then, like, they kiss, and Karina and Henry kiss because they're a thing, too. And Jack has this funny little moment where he's like,
Eunuchs.
Yeah, pretty much. And then that's the movie. But, like, so Will did nothing.
Kind
of.
of.
I don't know if they're trying to build him up to be important again.
He might. I feel like based on that ending, he's gonna be the villain in the next movie. Like, he's gonna lose control. He's gonna go all fishman. He's gonna.
Okay, so that's another thing for the end of this movie. So they broke the trident, which broke every curse at sea.
Yeah,
so the trident is greater than Calypso, I guess?
Yeah, so here's the weird thing about having multiple gods in your movie by having Calypso, having fucking Aztec gods, and also, by the way, Poseidon is real, is that the hierarchy should be real screwed up. Poseidon is the brother of Zeus, so therefore you'd think he's like, much like Aquaman, he's top tier in some way, but not the toppest tier, but he's still in that tier list. So therefore, Poseidon should be able to out-negate many gods, but then you realize, well, where does Calypso stand in her relativeness? Where do the Aztec gods stand? And the answer is no one really knows.
Right. So they broke the curse, and Will is gone. But then what about, like, the Dutchman has to have a captain? Like, someone still has to do what the Dutchman was doing. So I assume that's why Davy Jones is back.
Yeah, that might also be an explanation. So I guess when they broke all the curses, I thought, like, what I interpreted as, it was like, well, there goes all the magic shit from pirates. But I guess what it really means is that, no, they're gone, but, you know, there still has to be rules behind them. We could just make them again.
Also, if they broke every curse at sea, why is Davy Jones still a fucking squid man with a crab hand?
Calypso, the Unforgiven. She just does not want to forgive him for the betrayal.
So they broke his curse, and then he came back, and she was like, nope!
By the
Squid
way,
man! Like, immediately?
Hey, guess what? You're a squid now. You're a
You're
pirate
still a
now.
squid man. I'm not letting you off that easy. You're a squid man again.
God damn it. I don't want... Can I at least not have... Can I have a squid arm? Nope. Crab hand. That's what you're
Crab
gonna
hand,
mister.
crab foot, squid face.
That's him. Yeah, Pirates 5. It was a fun movie to watch, even though it has, like, a lot of problems.
Well, I feel like every Pirates movie, barring the first one, has more problems than good.
Yeah, that's just kind of the way the series goes.
Yeah, but the fifth one kind of, like... The fifth one wasn't afraid to have fun.
No.
It felt like they were trying really hard to be, like, a big deal in, like, the number 2 through number 4.
There's a point where the ship of Salazar, which, by the way, Salazar, his magic rules are undefined, because at one point his ship mast comes to life and attacks Jack, and Jack has, has a tiny kaiju fight, basically.
Oh, yeah. They are literally on the fucking cannons between the Silent Mary, which is Salazar's ship, and the Black Pearl, and Jack is jumping from cannon to cannon, fighting Salazar and the figurehead on the front of the ship.
Yeah, and it comes to life, and it's never really brought up. It's not like Salazar goes out and says, "Come out, figurehead, attack!" It's never anything like that.
Attack!
Attack my figurehead!
But yeah, so all of Salazar's powers, like, he can possess people, and apparently his entire crew not only knows how to do it, but knows the rules of it.
Yeah. And also, the sharks that I guess they were just keeping in their ship when they died, they can also be ghosts.
Yeah, why'd they have those sharks?
Doesn't make sense. And then,
why were the sharks alive until the ship exploded?
How come the sharks can be touched, but not them?
Yeah, they're like ghosts, and I guess, like, that you can't hit them because they're ghosts.
Yeah.
But the sharks weren't ghosts.
No, they're like zombie sharks.
Right. Where did they get those from?
And also, his ship can open its mouth and eat you.
Yes, that's the best part of the ship. Is the ship, like, it's all wrecked, so there's, like, no hull or anything, it's all just, like, planks. and it fucking rears back like teeth, and it attacks this British ship with him, and of course the ship fucking explodes.
That's maybe the best part, is that, by the way, there is a British subplot in it, but at the end they're like, it's time for the British to show up, and then Salazar immediately kills them all.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on the British subplot, and that's because it's completely irrelevant to the movie.
No,
and it brings nothing to the table whatsoever.
Near the end, I thought, like, oh, this is the part where they team up with the British, and then it's like, so I was like, I don't need the fucking British, I'm a Spaniard, I got standards. He kills them all.
Yeah, he fucking nukes the ship. But yeah, like, this movie just, like, it felt more like it was willing to be silly if it meant that the shit was fun.
Yeah.
And like, Jack fighting Salazar, jumping on the cannons, was fucking ridiculous, but it wasn't trying to be this huge deal. Like, it was just a thing that was happening, and it was fun, and it was a fight.
It wasn't also trying to be too serious as well.
Yeah, in the third movie, they're like, he's swinging around from masts because they're in a fucking whirlpool, and Calypso's trying to kill them all, and he's got to stab the heart of Davy Jones before every pirate on the fucking planet dies.
Yep. I mean, they do imply if Salazar lives, like, that's bad news, because Salazar was single-handedly took pirate kind to the brink of extinction.
Right, but, like, it doesn't ever get to the point... It's not like an Avengers movie. Like, the third one wanted to be like the fucking Avengers. Like, oh shit, it's all over unless this ragtag team of pirates fucking saves the day. The fifth one's just like, this dead Spanish dude fucking hates Jack, and he wants to kill him, and that's what's happening right now.
Yeah. And all because that compass felt betrayed.
Yeah, also, why is Salazar his greatest fear?
What else would, like, I would assume Jack's greatest fear is commitment. And there's no good way to make a movie based on a man being afraid of commitment that is also an action movie.
Is his biggest fear dying, I guess? Because he wants to be immortal. That's the whole point of the Fountain of Youth movie and the one where he wants Davy Jones' heart. He wants to be immortal.
Yeah. I guess it's assumed that he was his greatest threat at the time, just because it does make it seem like he was just barely able to win. And again, Salazar was able to basically almost take down all of pirate kind himself. So, in terms of pure pirates, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I guess I would assume he would equally be afraid of Davy Jones as well, because he put him in a fucking locker.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be more afraid of Davy Jones, because Davy Jones actually beat him once.
Or like the Kraken, who has been the only thing that's ever killed him.
Yep.
Like,
then again, he accused Elizabeth of actually being the one to kill him, not Davy Jones for some reason.
No, that would have been a better movie if it was Elizabeth trying to kill just her on a boat, and then at the end she gets to try it.
With all the Singaporean pirates that she is still technically the pirate lord of?
Yeah, that she kind of... Those poor Singapore pirates, man, they lost their pirate captain, and then they lost their other pirate captain. They have just basically nothing.
Yeah, they're on tier 3 captain now.
Yeah, that's not good. It's bad captaining. Is this also... I forget, is Pirates 5 also the one where Gibbs tells one of the other crew members to be the captain?
Yes, it is.
And then he's like, okay, I'm the captain now. And then he's the captain and immediately gets shit on.
Yeah, he tells the dumbass pirate from the fourth movie who wants to fuck the mermaid, not the priest, but the idiot pirate. He says, you know what, I want you to be captain. And the guy's like, oh, sweet, I'll be the captain. But he only gives him the hat because he realizes they're about to get overtaken by the British.
Yep.
So it cold cuts to the minute he puts the hat on and he looks so fucking proud. And then it cold cuts to the next scene of the British just beating the shit out of him. Because he's the captain. And then they're like, alright, crew members, if you don't tell us what's going on, we're going to kill your captain.
I think by the end of that movie, he's like that one scene in Little Nicky where they just keep throwing bees on Henry Winkler. So when they're like, we need a toenail, then he looks at him and he goes, come on, guys. And we're like, we're sorry.
Yeah, and they like rip, which is another weird scene because they're like, we need something sharp to pick the lock on the thing so we can get out of the cell. And they're like, we'll never get anything sharp down here. And then dumbass pirate has like a huge fucking sharp toenail that they then attack him and rip off.
Yeah.
Why did we need that?
I don't understand why.
Just show him break out of the cell. I don't give a shit how Gibbs gets out of the cell.
We all just assume he figured out a way to do it because he's Gibbs.
Yeah, that's extremely low on my list of priorities.
Sorry, Gibbs.
Yeah, it's like that's the second worst scene in the movie. The worst scene in the movie, of course, being the whalebone wedding.
God, that just made no sense. I think it was only set up to do like some bad comedy, and let me tell you, Pirates can be funny, but when it decides that it wants to be really funny is when it does the worst things in the world.
Yeah, like when it tries to be just like not that funny and just make little funny asides, it's really funny. Like when they're on that shitty ship that Jack has never put on the water,
Yeah.
and finally it rolls into the sea, and they're all cheering, and then one of them screams, "We're not drowning!" That's funny. That's funny. The 15-minute fucking scene of Jack being forcibly married to this ugly girl, and the joke is that she's really ugly, and it goes on for ages. It's not funny.
No, the one funny thing about that is at the end when Barbossa shoots the guy and he goes like, "I gave you a wedding present."
Yeah, that's the only part of it that was funny, is when he makes a joke about Jack, like, settling down. And Jack's like, "Oh, did you bring me a gift?" And he shoots the guy that was forcibly marrying Jack. That was the only funny part of the whole scene.
Yep, that was the only good thing.
But the setup was like 5 minutes long.
It was a very bad setup. It was very bad.
And that's just a running theme in these movies with whoever's writing them. I don't know if it's like the same guys or what.
I'm still interested to see how the fuck they got the hanging scene okayed by someone, because I would understand, okay, one joke. The amount of jokes in that one scene is ridiculous. There was one guy who was like, no, I got it. How about some more jokes?
Are you talking about, which hanging are you talking about? Karina's?
Yeah. I don't know a good way of putting it other than, like, almost skin-to-skin contact. What was it? What he said? My port is in your bow or something? I forget.
Oh yeah, he's holding her up, and he's holding her up, and Will's like, "All right, we're gonna be allies," and she's like, "Well, judging by where your hand is, I guess we're more than that," because he's got her by the ass to hold her up.
Yeah, it does kind of imply he's going like too deep as well, though. It's very weird.
It's very weird, and they keep making jokes about how he's not a very good sailor because he doesn't know that the back of the boat is the stern.
Yes, and then here's another one that just eventually just wears out its welcome, is that she eventually says that I'm a horologist. And the entire joke is, isn't it funny to say whore?
Yeah, it's funny that words sound like whore.
And then the final joke of that is when the Jack learns that that's his daughter, and then as he's leaving, he goes, "By the way, she's a horologist." And then Barbossa has a face of like, what?
Yeah, see, if that was the only joke from all of it, it would have been funny. Because you'd be like, "Oh, that sounds like whore, that's funny." But the pirates, like, sit there and riff on it for, like, 3 minutes with, like, the least funny jokes ever.
The midget pirate talks about how he had sex with one of the other person's mom.
Yeah! The midget pirate, like, talks about fucking the dumb pirate's mom. And you're supposed to find that funny. It's the stupidest shit. And then another one in the, when they're rescuing Jack and Karina from being executed in what should be, like, an exciting scene. It's like 95% jokes.
Yeah, it is. It's
like Jack is in a guillotine or a guillotine. I don't know how you pronounce that shit. Fuck it. Guillotine. And he's gonna get his fucking head chopped off. And they release the blade, but Gibbs shoots a fucking cannon into the stand right before the blade hits him. So the guillotine is spinning around in a circle, and the blade keeps coming down near his neck and then falling back to the top. Which is funny for like a second. But it happens like 20 times.
Yeah, it keeps going on and on and on and on.
Yeah, like he keeps spinning and it keeps showing the blade almost hitting his neck and then coming back, and then it cuts to like some other shit that's happening, and then it cuts back to Jack and that shit's still fucking happening. And it's not funny anymore, and it's...
Yep, then that's kind of the way pirates' humor goes sometimes.
Yeah, their little one-off jokes are just, they're great. That scene in the first movie when Will says that dumbass shit, and Jack just has this look on his face like it's the stupidest person he's ever heard in his life. A+ moment. But the later Pirates movies, he would have said that shit, and then all the British soldiers would have been like, "Hey, did you hear that? This guy's fucking stupid." And then they would have like riffed for like 5 minutes about how that's a dumb thing to say.
Like, well, what are you gonna do now? Shiver me timbers? And then they would have.
That's totally what they would have done.
You gonna blow the man down?
And then that whole thing would have been going on, and it would have just kept cutting back to them, and Jack would just look like increasingly disgruntled.
Yeah.
And that would be the joke.
It would have been 30 minutes of those guards. By the way, the guards are back in this movie somehow.
Yeah, so the guards apparently supposedly died when Blackbeard took
The
Pearl.
Black Pearl, yeah.
Yeah, but now they're not dead. They're just in Barbossa's fleet, still being really annoying.
According to the Pirates of the Caribbean wiki, at some point they left the the team between the four before the attack on the Black Pearl. If the wiki is to be believed, I don't see any. I'm gonna guess it's just a fan theory. That's the only reason why they're alive.
Fair enough. And the midget pirate apparently survived as well.
I guess he also left. To be fair, when I looked it up, there was no fan theories for him, which I feel is a travesty.
So, there's actually one good scene with the idiot pirates, though. With, like, the guards.
Yeah.
Is they're strung up on Salazar's ship. And they say, well, just in case one of us lives and the other one dies, why don't we tell the other one where our treasure is? And the dumbass skinny one tells him, and the dumbass fat one's like, I actually don't have any treasure. That was the whole joke, and that was funny. And they left it alone.
Yeah, it was. That was a good one.
Yeah, but then, I'm surprised that it didn't keep going, and then they were like, and he, like, tried to give him this long fake way to find fake treasure that wasn't really there. And then the other man like, you don't have any treasure, do you? He's like, no.
Yeah.
That I'm surprised that wasn't what it was.
It's yeah, sometimes I like a good reoccurring joke is really hard to do. I think the greatest reoccurring joke is still in, I think it was for a good number of the DB movies, there was a running joke that Piccolo would come out of nowhere and save Gohan. And then when
they did the Krillin,
then like in the Broly's second coming, he gets saved by Krillin dressing up as Piccolo.
In Piccolo's outfit. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great running joke. And it doesn't call attention to itself either, really.
No, and that was the end of the Piccolo showing up out of nowhere jokes. Like, that was
Yeah.
the last time they ever did it, because they did it too good.
And see, that was funny. And they didn't drag it out, like, because he thinks it's Piccolo when he's passing out, because he just sees the clothes. And then he wakes up and realizes it's Krillin, and Krillin's like, I just wanted to try the outfit on. And they're like, that shit's funny. And then they just drop it, and they fight Broly more.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of doing, like, a reoccurring joke, especially when you've seen so many movies of a series.
Right. Like, yeah, I don't know if it's just suffering from fatigue or what, because, like, I genuinely enjoyed the 5th movie, but I don't feel like I'm excited for a 6th movie.
Not now. Like, no. It's...
I don't know if it's franchise fatigue. Maybe.
I think it's franchise fatigue, because at this point, I'm not... Even I eventually hit the wall where I was, like, super excited for a lot of stuff, and even now with Marvel stuff, I'm just kind of like... I don't know. If it really interests me, I'll go out and see it. But it's not the same mentality where I was like, I need to be there week 1. I'm no longer like that.
Yeah, like, and Pirates is a weird franchise to get to that point with. Because it feels like they want to have so much shit going on, but they don't want to put the work in to get there.
Yeah. It's like if Avengers decided that the only character they really needed was Iron Man. So,
yeah, and then the rest of the characters were just, like, around.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming, where it's Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, all these Pirates movies have to have Jack in it for them. Imagine if just like, oh, it's Thor, but also, by the way, Iron Man's going to be in it, too. You all love Iron Man, right? He's in this.
Yeah, like, they're setting up Pirates 6, and, to be fair, in Pirates 5, Jack was not the lead. I would argue he wasn't even really all that important.
No, he just was kind of a drunk man until...
Yeah, he was just, like, there until they had to fight Salazar, and he kind of came back to form toward the end.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, they're never going to make one without him.
Yeah, it just
so they're setting Will up. They're setting Will up as either the hero or the villain in the next movie, because Davy Jones is going to be back.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole movie's going to be about Jack anyway, so who gives a shit about Will and Davy Jones?
Yeah, they have a lot. The next movie has to be just... I don't know. We'll see when it comes around in like 3 years.
Yeah, because apparently they're making 2 more.
Yeah, 2 more. Great. Perfect.
Yeah. Pirates 7, I guess, is where we're going to end the series. Because they said, at first people thought this was going to be the last one, because they said it's going to be the final adventure begins. But then the director was like, no. The final adventure begins, meaning this is only the first one. Which means we have to go through 2 Pirates movies without Barbossa in them.
Man. It's gonna be... We'll see. Again, I'll see. I will say one final thing about Pirates 5. It was real weird how Paul McCartney was just in it.
Well, I actually looked that up, and I learned why that happened.
Why?
Apparently that was supposed to be Jack's dad, but Keith Richards couldn't do it.
So they got... Okay, that makes sense.
So they were like, let's just get another old rock star and keep the joke going.
No offense to Mr. Paul McCartney, but when I think of Keith Richards, I go, let's find another rock star. My immediate go-to is not Paul McCartney.
He's not Paul McCartney, no, me either.
No offense
that's what they went with.
To his work. I love the Rocky Raccoon song. I love Magneto and Titanium Man. All respect to Paul McCartney. It's just like when I think of a hard rocking dude, they might as well have got it Ozzy Osbourne or something.
Yeah. It wasn't the most obvious reference, but I googled that because I was like, why the fuck is he even in this movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently that was supposed to be his dad.
That makes sense because in 4, like his dad tells him, like he's like a weird spirit monster who's like a ghost. He just shows up, Jack. Someone's out there impersonating you, and he goes, "Okay, Dad." And he looks away and his dad disappears. It kind of
makes like Batman.
Yeah.
And then apparently, the dad is actually in the flashback when Jack gets all the shit.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, it's a young version of his father when all the pirate crew is like giving him all of his like knickknacks and stuff.
Yeah.
The guy standing behind him is his dad.
Oh man, I never knew that.
Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to know that without googling like funny trivia about Pirates 5, but yeah, that's what it is.
So while you're watching Pirates 5, just have IMDb trivia up.
Yeah, and then you'll see that it's actually his fucking dad that's right there. Yeah. Played by some guy you don't recognize.
Do like
an outfit you also don't recognize because he's only in the movie like for a total of 2 minutes in all the other movies.
Yeah, at most like 6 minutes of screen time.
Yep.
If at. But yeah. That's Pirates 5. So, well, we're gonna end this on... This is our end into the Pirates universe. And now we'll have to find another movie to do. We'll figure that out next time.
Yeah, we'll figure that out when we get there.
Yeah, when we think about it.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good idea of what I would like to do next. If
all
we
right,
can remember.
Which one of us suggested Pirates?
You suggested Pirates. Well, we both came to the agreements because we both watch Pirates. Well,
then the next one is your pick. If I suggested Pirates.
Alright. I think I have a pretty good idea then.
Alright, you'll have to let me know on Twitter or whatever so I can watch it if I haven't watched it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Alright, but I think that's it. Do you have any closing thought on Pirates, just as an overall statement?
Pirates of the Caribbean is a fine ride. Now go make my goddamn Haunted Mansion movie.
For me, it's a fun series of movies. It's good. Do not expect them to make a whole lot of sense. And I kind of wish they would get out of their own asshole a little bit. That's my only thing. They've over-explained Jack to the point now where it's like, I just can't anymore.
He's not a mythical figure that he once was in Pirates 1.
Right, because they show him kill Salazar, and they're like, oh, Jack the Sparrow, and you're like, okay, I don't give a shit about that. And then they show all the pirates giving him all of his his nicknames, like his hat, and the baubles, and everything that he wears in his hair. And it's like, I don't need to know where that shit came from. I just like that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the movies are going down a path of demystifying themselves and taking out a lot of what made them unique.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it looks like they're willing to have fun again. So I'm willing to give 6 a shot. If it's as fun as 5 was, I'll be fine with it.
Yes. 6. Bring back the Aztec gods.
Yeah, bring back the Aztec monkey, please. They did bring back the monkey. The monkey's back.
Jack the monkey has the most touching scene where at the end he teams up with Jack after Barbossa. Like, the person who's most affected by Barbossa's death is Jack the monkey.
Yeah, I don't want to go into a whole new thing because we're closing the show,
yes.
But no one really seemed to care.
Except for his daughter, and, the only people who cared were his daughter and Jack the monkey.
Yeah, because, he died, and Jack was just like, pirate's life, mate, and then they just went off.
Yeah. Which is understandable, because, they have a touchy relationship at best. But yeah, that's it for this. So, join us next time at the concession stand, where I will, by the time this is revealed, when this is released, I will tell, via Twitter, Zed what he needs to watch. And what I will be watching.
Good.
Alright. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.